And Joe's got this new book out called Namath. What's this? What's this? I haven't read it yet. So.
Well, Rugged Land, the publisher, finished a couple of books, one with Walter Payton and one with Brett Favre. And one of the publishers there is from Western Pennsylvania, and he came to me and showed me the Favre book and Walter's book, and I was just taken with the quality of the books. I liked his idea and the kind of book we wanted to do, wanted me to write it. Wanted me to give my perception of things and experiences, and philosophically, not just football, but how we've dealt with life up until this point. And I've enjoyed it. It was tough. The DVD that the NFL has put in there is pretty cool. So the book can be shared at home. It's
that's a cool book.
It can be shared at home with the family. It's not one of those. It's not a book that goes into my off the field activities so much, But certainly the ones that have been talked about.
What question you get asked the most?
What question do I get asked the most? I don't know. Oh, maybe did I really believe we're going to win the Super Bowl? That is a question that
you must have. You wouldn't have said it, right?
Up. Pardon me?
You must have. You wouldn't have said it.
That's right. That was the thing. We had played our last 6 games that year. We had a sharp team. Didn't make mental errors. Didn't hurt ourselves. We're able to communicate and change things a lot. Smart team. And we were ready for that game. We just outperformed them.
I guess you were. What years were you at Alabama?
61 through 65.
There's a book out now. A lot of authors, when I mention other people's books, they get irritated. So I don't want you to. But this is about what we're talking about. Don Yeager's a guy from Sports Illustrated, and Sam Bam Cunningham, great running back from SC. They wrote a book called Turning of the Tide, which is about that 1970 game between SC and Alabama that was in Tuscaloosa, I believe.
I think it was in Birmingham.
Yeah. And how that demonstrated to whoever it had to be demonstrated to in Alabama and at that university, and maybe even to Bear Bryant, although the game was his idea, that it was time to integrate the team.
No, well, actually, Coach Bryant had tried that earlier, and it didn't work as early as 67.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. And I was actually at practice. I used to go back to Tuscaloosa every off season for a few months to train myself with some other guys, get ready for training camp. So I was back at spring practice one day, and Coach Bryant and I are standing behind the defense watching the offense come out, and Coach Bryant's 6'5", man. I mean, he was big, strong guy, He's standing there watching, and he said, Joe, we're going to integrate this year. Yes, sir, that's great. He said, well, I'm not going to bring in one or two of those guys. And I did, I said, what? He said, hell, he said, I'm going to bring in 20, 25 of them. I want them to feel at home. I don't want them to feel like oddballs.
Hollywood Henderson, you remember him, right?
Yes, of course.
He was in there. He said the first black guy that they tried out in a scrimmage at Alabama. Have you heard this?
I can hear it coming.
I know he goes through the line. He goes for 97 yards, run through the whole team. And apparently, Coach Bryant turned to one of his assistants and said, man, look at that Indian run.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some a lot of humor that down there.
Do you think he wanted to integrate to win, or because it was the right thing to do, or a little of both?
The right thing to do first, but he wanted to win as hard, as much as anybody. Oh. Coach Bryant had been a military man. He had worked with a variety of people in races over the years, and he was a great communicator. He treated people the way he thought was right, and he wouldn't waver very much from his discipline and beliefs. And Coach Bryant treated people with respect. Whether it was a janitor, whether it was he treated people with respect and demanded respect. He was an example to his players. I've often said, Coach Bryant helped a lot of us get into pro ball and get out there, but the guys that he helped that didn't go into pro ball, that are out there, community leaders, doctors, lawyers, that utilize his style of training, learning, owning up, what a wonderful teacher. And football coaches, it's not just the football they teach. Football and life are somewhat similar as far as getting knocked down, getting back up, having responsibilities, owning up to your guys, getting humbled and eating it and saying, okay, you can stay here, you can climb back up. You know, it's a lot of getting up off the ground, and life is kind of that way.
You still want to play?
No. If I could play, I'd be playing. When I retired, I had no problem retiring because I couldn't play. I convinced myself I just didn't fit anymore. My legs were at a point with the hamstring muscles torn that it not only was not as much fun or near as much fun, but I physically couldn't sprint, couldn't run. So it was time.
You watch football?
Pardon?
Do you watch football now?
Oh, man, I watch football. Yeah, I'm a fan now.
Oh, yeah. Who's your team?
The Jets.
Oh, the Jets.
Okay. To start with, yeah.
You still
Oh, yeah.
Good.
It's most frustrating. Only two games I hate to watch is when Alabama's playing and the Jets are playing because I get emotionally involved in the frustrating stuff starts coming out. I laugh at the other games when you see guys mess up or foul up and things aren't going well, but when I'm watching Alabama and when I'm watching the Jets, it's tough.
They just fired Sheila, right, Alabama?
Yes, they did. I was very disappointed that happened. I was down there 2 weeks ago, and I spoke with some guys that were in the mix on that situation. And I really think Mike decided to leave once they told him he had to fire some of his staff.
Oh.
A lot of the coaches, if they got to go, I got to go. There's a camaraderie and a brotherhood,
You got to win.
You have to win. They won 10 games last year. He has the youngest team in the conference this year. They go 6-6 and lose to 5 teams that were in the top 20. I didn't think he should be gone, and I don't. And I'm very frustrated, angry, and happens to be the athletic director is a friend of mine, and I haven't spoken to him for the last couple of days. We'll let it settle. But things don't always go the way I like them or the way we like them. The Jets are moving to Jersey. The Giants are already in Jersey. New York has one football team, Buffalo, we have left, but yet they're called New York Giants and New York Jets. I think New York Jets, I would have loved for them to be out on Long Island or in Manhattan.
Wow.
But meantime, 40% of that ticket base of the Jets is supported by New Jersey people, so bless them,
That was a great game. They went to New England and beat the Patriots.
That was a big lift.
Wow.
A big lift because
what's going on between those two coaches? I don't understand that.
I think it's gamesmanship to a degree.
You do?
Yeah, and I don't mind that at all. I talked with some guys yesterday, and they're coming down on Belichick's behavior, saying, he turned his back. I said, come on, man. These guys bust chops weekly. Of course, give them anything to think about. Bill would love to disrupt Mangini's thinking in some form or fashion. Every coach, it's gamesmanship, man. I don't think Bill has the time to waste on carrying animosity with him, just like Eric. But we build it up, the media. It's interesting.
Well, you seem pretty happy to me for a guy being sober. God bless you for being sober.
Yeah, well, 13 years. I did...
I know you quit.
I had a dry drunk. I had a dry run from 87 to 2000, and it was good. I say, geez, this no contest. Being sober is so much better. I feel great. And then some things change, and I got an attitude and went back to drinking.
Don't fall off your horse. You're doing all right.
That's what I did. I fell right off that horse. I remember, John, you brought up a point. It's a good saying, too. John Riggins and I wanted to ride motorcycles out to practice several years ago, and our coach, Weeb Eubank, looked at us and said, fellas, if you ride a horse, if you go skiing, if you ride a bike, you're going to fall. There's no doubt about it. And do not do that during the season, please. Yeah. So we don't ride.
Good luck with this book. And it's a pleasure to meet you, and thanks for signing that. I'll sell that, raise some money for these kids and all that.
Well, that's good.
And good luck with this.
But I want to thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're
more
than welcome.
You're giants in the industry, and it's a thrill to be here. Really.
Thrill to meet you.
I have guys down in Florida talking about you. People talk about you guys all over the country and listen to you. So
thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Joe Namath.